I'd now like to introduce Joe Doria. Many of you know Joe as the former Speaker of the Assembly, a state senator for the 31st Legislative District, a former mayor of Bayonne, and the former commissioner of the Department of Community Affairs. Joe has had plenty of involvement with the ELCs over the years, but even more so, he has lots of great stories about Frank. They have known each other and worked together for more than 40 years. Please welcome Joe Doria.
Not good getting old. And when they remind me that it's 40 years that I've known Frank, I realize that we are obviously getting older, but we've had some great experience together. We were able to work together for so many years, and we had the privilege of working with Governor Florio, of course. Frank, the first time I met Frank, he was working for the State Democratic Committee. I was a young assembly person, and he was a crackerjack member of the state committees, a young group of professionals who were working there. And of course, he knew everything. So he told us what to do. One of the things about Frank that we all know is that Frank will always tell you what to do. And he does a good job at it. Frank does an exceptional job. He's a unique individual, loyal, hardworking, dedicated, always involved, always willing to be helpful, always willing to go the extra mile. And during his years working in the General Assembly, we had many opportunities to get involved in many elections. You had many opportunities to get involved in many major pieces of legislation. And Frank was never afraid to take a stand. Now, I never knew that he was a business-friendly Democrat. I found that out when he went to BIA. But we always worked with the other group, the other party in the legislature. So he had good experience doing that, especially in the time we were in the minority. We were in the majority for 2 years, but then in the minority for 10. And so we had an opportunity to work together. So he had the experience to be very much be a business-friendly Democrat, and he worked at it. And he worked at being successful. And when he came to BIA and was in charge and put together the various meetings of the Employers Legislative Committee, Frank had an opportunity to get even with me. Now, I used to make him run around, go to different meetings, do different things. Well, when he took over the ELCs, he had an opportunity to get me up early in the morning, get in the car, and drive all over the state. I think I hit every ELC, and it was fun. It was a great deal of fun. It was a great opportunity to meet the various people who were involved in business throughout the state of New Jersey. And it's a great organization. I want to commend the ELC on its 60th anniversary. I actually first got involved with the ELCs when I was at St. Peter's College as a young administrator, and one of the top administrators said, "You're going to go to this meeting." And it was a meeting of the ELC in Hudson County in the old Holiday Inn by the Holland Tunnel. I had no idea what I was going to do there, but I went and I met a lot of business people and I learned a lot. And that's before I was involved in the legislature and before I was involved in government. So the ELC has served a great purpose over its 60 years. And it's been very fortunate that Frank has been able to continue that during the 17 years that he's been involved. And he's been able to get so many of the major elected officials, getting them up early in the morning also. I think there was a little pleasure in that. A little smile as we all had to get up and drive and try to figure out where we were going. That's the other thing. No GPSs. So we were always trying to remember, how do we get here and what do we do? So it's my pleasure to be here this evening to just say Frank is a unique individual, a special person, someone who cares about other people. He is not only a good administrator, someone who has been actively involved in government in New Jersey, but he's a good person, a very good person, who cares about everyone. And he is the pater familias for his family. once his mother and father have passed on, I would hear about his family on a continuing basis and what was going on with his nieces and nephews and what was happening at home with his wife, Mary Ann, who was a major support for him. So he is unique, he's special, and I'm very happy to be here this evening and say he is my friend, he is a special friend, and he will always be my friend. And in the end, he's a friend of all of you out there because he's a business-friendly Democrat.